Everything you're about to see was built by someone who can't write a single line of code. Things like a rehab app, things like my training and health OS dashboard with a coach that tells me what to do each morning as soon as I wake up. All built in the last month alone, no developers, no code needed. If you ever regretted not learning how to code a long time ago, this year is the year that actually doesn't matter anymore. Keep watching to learn 3 things. What changed, the skill that replaced coding, and the wall I personally hit when trying to do this. Let's get on with it. So there's a reason I can tell you this. And I can pretty much guarantee you that I'm the least technical person you'll ever hear talking about this. When I was 15 years old, I started a web design agency. My friend built all the sites and I just sold them. And I actually did try to learn how to code at first. I spent almost 2 years trying to learn how to code, doing basic HTML stuff. Eventually I just gave up because simply I wasn't good enough at it and I actually didn't enjoy it all that much. Mind you, this was for a school project. In real life, I spent over 2 decades, 20 plus years trying to find a real technical co-founder for building a substantial business, and I simply wasn't able to. And to this day, I still haven't been able to find someone. So back in February, the guy who built Claude Code said something kind of controversial. And people on the internet, X, Reddit, wherever, argued about it for about a week. His name is Boris Cherny. And what he said was that coding as a whole is largely solved. And as you would imagine, every developer on the internet had their own opinion about this statement. And if you're not a developer, you probably just scrolled past it. I did the same thing, and I think that was my big mistake. Because one word in that sentence is doing all the work, largely. Largely solved is not the same thing as entirely solved. Later on, Boris backtracked a little bit, saying it wasn't actually solved for big companies with huge messy code bases, which I believe it still isn't, because where coding is solved is for small software, built by one person, essentially for one person. But here's the interesting part, because this is exactly what I've been looking for the past 20 years. So this is what solved looks like on my laptop, 3 specific things, and none of them existed a month ago. Number 1, a rehab app I built when my IT band went in December last year as a result of me starting running. An expense tracker that I talk to just using my voice that handles multiple currencies because, well, I was spending way too much money, quite frankly. And a health dashboard. I call it Health OS, that reads every single health tracker like the Whoop that I own, including my Garmin watch, Apple Health, and all of that good stuff. And the health dashboard is actually the thing I'd fight tooth and nails to keep in my system because it is revolutionary in terms of my workout routines. So every morning I wake up in my Health OS, I have a coach just telling me what to do for that specific day, based on how I slept, what day of the week it is, what I've done previously that week, and how many days there's left of the week, etc, etc, etc. What I did the last workout session. If I worked out legs yesterday, is definitely not going to tell me to work out legs again today. And the best thing of it all, it's going to tell me this based on what it knows that I'm trying to achieve. Right now, I'm practicing for a triathlon, which is going to be my first ever triathlon. And before this year, 2026, this dashboard would have cost me thousands of dollars and taken weeks, if not months, to build out. And it wasn't even a guarantee that it would turn out the way I wanted it to turn out, which obviously means that I'd never even have tried building it. I simply couldn't defend spending thousands of dollars building a personal side project for my health. Not even if that personal project means me being a good husband to my wife and of course a present father to my kids. This time around, however, it only took about a workday. I spent around 8 hours, and that includes like fine-tuning, fixing, and making sure it works exactly as I want it to work. And in all honesty, it didn't even cost anything because it already came out of my Claude subscription, something I'm already paying for, where I get a bunch of tokens for free or in the subscription every month, right? Imagine that, 8 hours against, I don't know, like 8 weeks if I would have hired a freelancer without a guaranteed result. So imagine that, a whole category of one-person built softwares that was totally unrealistic to build in the past, all of a sudden became absolutely worth building in the first place. The kind of tools that no one ever is going to fund, not even yourself probably, that are basically just built for one person, you. And this is exactly why I made you a list. It's going to consist of 5 tools worth building for yourself first of all, and the exact words to ask for each and every one of those tools. I call it the build list. It's free in the description below, so feel free to check it out. I picked those 5 tools specifically because they're the ones where you actually get something real back day one. Grab that and then come back to this video, because the next part is where most people actually go wrong. The skill that entirely replaced coding. It is what I call the brief. And I can even show you the exact moment when I personally learned that. Because the first version I built of my Health OS dashboard came back beautifully and also completely empty. It had all the historical data for the past 3 years from my Apple Health, but it had 0 live real-time data, which was the whole point of building the system. But when I saw that, I actually didn't really have to debug anything if we're talking developer language. I just said what was wrong out loud using my voice. The numbers aren't fresh, this isn't real-time data. And Opus 5 just had it pulling live data that actually worked, that was real-time, a couple of minutes back, in just a couple of attempts. Then I obviously noticed some stuff were missing to give me even more cool data to base my decisions off and my coaching instructions off. Things like lean body mass, body fat percentage, things I actually do track in other areas. And I just decided to also pull that data in. And all those changes, everything was spoken using my voice. I didn't even type any of it into my computer, which to me is bonkers. But the fix that taught me the most actually has nothing to do with the data. So the coach told me to train 5 days a week, which is a perfectly good plan and has been for myself, for someone who doesn't have 2 small kids, one being 4 months old. So the code did exactly what I asked for, but I simply asked for the wrong thing. So I just used my voice again, and I literally told Claude about my life. What I do when I'm injured, what I do when I'm on vacation, what a realistic week in my life actually looks like for me specifically. No one can write a brief for you, and no AI model can actually guess what your week should look like. So that's the actual skill. Have AI learn who you are, what's important to you, what your life looks like, what your goals and ambitions are, and leverage AI for that specific thing, whether that's for your health, for a company you're launching, for your work, for your personal life, calendar, planning, whatever it is. You already know all of these things intuitively, right? You have a picture in your mind where you are today and where you want to be tomorrow. But before this entire AI thing came around, you've never really had anyone to hand it over to. Now I'm going to be very honest and share the wall that I think I've hit at this point. Because I'd be lying to you if I actually just stopped here. I don't think I could build something that thousands of people could depend on. Because I don't understand the backend well enough. I'd probably miss things. I'd ship some kind of software. People would get angry. And that's going to be entirely on me. And in honesty, that's not something I want on my conscience. But when it comes to dedicated one-person softwares that literally solves the exact pain points and challenges I have in my life, this is bloody amazing. I built something out that actually failed. I really wanted it to work, but I just never got it working because I'm not a developer at the end of the day. You see, I've been buying and selling properties in the south of Spain for years and years. And the main listing site in Spain is a site called Idealista, where houses and apartments and stuff gets listed and you can search for it and find them. The problem is that because there's no exclusivity for real estate agents, each good listing is listed at least 10 times, sometimes 20 or even 30 times, which, as you would assume or imagine, means you have to siphon through hundreds, if not even thousands of different listings to find like 1 or 2 good ones. It's a painstaking, tedious process. So I built a tool that's dedicated to strip all the duplicates away and to also be able to watch the images to each listing and understand the orientation of the property, east, west, north, south. Because I personally wanted to buy a house that was southwest facing to get a nice sunset. And you can easily see the location or orientation rather of the property if you watch the pictures. So AI should be able to do this. But after all of this, I never got the tool working because it was just such a hassle. Orientation worked 1 in 5 times. So I just decided to put the builder shovel down at that point in time. And also, more importantly, my rule for this year is do less, better on purpose. So a tool that saves me a couple of Saturdays definitely isn't worth a month of my time building out. So my ask of you today is pick one thing, the one unfundable idea that probably only works for you, that you've been doing manually for a long time or that you wish you had, and just build it this week using Claude. You can use Claude Cowork or ChatGPT Work, where you won't even see a coding terminal. And you can just use natural language, even using your voice, and you won't even have to write it out. So take this week, build it out. You already know what you should do. And that's the hard part, if I'm gonna be honest. New videos every week, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.